Welcome, everyone. The fact that you're here tells me something really important, that you're ready to stop guessing about your health and you're ready to take charge of your health because that is what you're supposed to do. Maybe you have tried everything from different diets, exercises, and you're still stuck. You feel so overwhelmed and you're frustrated with the lack of real answers and just all the conflicting health advice out there, and you just don't know what to do. So during this masterclass, I promise you that you're going to gain more clarity. I'm going to walk you through the Live Well methodology with my friend Ben.
Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Ben. Just want to say thank you for joining us here on this masterclass. And Adriana has impacted my life in a really powerful way, really in a short time. And so it's an honor to host this masterclass as she shares a lot of the wisdom, of course, that she shared in the book, but really allow that to come to life and give you a deeper understanding into the things she shared in the book. So whether you have a copy of the book already or not, we're excited to really take a deeper dive into everything she shared there and give you a little extra insight as well. Adriana is my Slovakian sister, soul sister, and just thankful for her friendship and for how much she cares about her clients and really the people that she's written this book for. And that comes through on every page. It comes through in every interaction that she and I share, and the stories and the testimonies of people who have been impacted through her work. And I'm just excited to take a deeper dive into the book's content and really help all of you to break this cycle of unwellness. My name is Ben Kolarsik. You hear the Slovakian heritage there, and just excited to support Adriana in this. We're excited to kind of share details related to the book and really help all of us understand that feeling our best isn't really just following a specific diet, right? I know, Adriana, you and I have talked about that a lot. It's not about following that specific diet or like a weight loss routine or just an exercise plan. It really is about shifting your mindset from disease prevention to health creation. And so that's why I love, as you've shared details about the book, as you've been writing it and sharing it with more and more people. I love this call that says we can all achieve vibrant health with ease, and just hearing that kind of makes me okay. And Adriana, you are so gifted to be able to share how we can achieve that. No more guessing, just the real proven solutions that you've been sharing with people for years and years now in this book and in this masterclass. So I guess as we get started, Adriana, help us understand, obviously you've been helping clients for a long time, but why this book? Why now? Why is it on your heart to say, I've got to get this out to the world? Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Ben, my Slovakian soulmate.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, beautiful introduction to Live Well, and really you said it pretty much all, and said it really well. So thank you, and thank you for being part of this journey with me. As a pharmacist, health and wellness strategies, I have seen so many people struggling with pain
Mm-hmm.
and really stuck in their beliefs, accepting pain, accepting living the way
Mm.
you're living, and nearly everyone is unwell. It doesn't even matter anymore what age you are. It's really from children all the way to, people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s struggling, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
odd joint pains, extra weight, constant fatigue,
Mm.
autoimmune diseases, or infertility, and being on medication and just stuck in this cycle and not understanding and knowing what to do. And health has become unnecessarily complicated and confusing and
Yeah.
overwhelming. You have
Yeah.
no idea who to trust anymore. So, but the truth is, health doesn't have to be this hard, and it's really not that complicated. My belief is in education because when we understand our bodies, when we understand the environment we live in, that's when we can actually make better choices, and then we can
Mm.
turn off all the noise out there and we can truly be in charge of our health. Just like I say, you're in charge of your bank account and other things in your life. The health is number one thing that we have to take back and take charge of. My story started growing up in a very violent, unpredictable household in a
Mm.
small two-bedroom apartment in what was then communist Czechoslovakia. It's Slovakia now, but my life was filled with daily fear and chaos. My
Mm,
parents suffered tremendously. They were fighting all the time. My mother struggled with alcohol abuse, which she was hiding and not really being open about that. And so I just witnessed a lot of lying, a lot of
yeah.
manipulation, and I was put in the middle of protecting my mom and shielding her from my dad. And so it was a very traumatic household. One thing is I was accepting is this is my life, this is my normal, but then
Mm,
there was some whisper, just this, I call it my light, that was pulling me out of that belief and telling me this is not normal and this is
yeah.
not the way I'm supposed to live. On top of this, all the stress, being growing up in Europe was very normal that moms made food, homemade food every day. And my mom, the same. She was working every day, 8 to 5, but at the same time,
Mm,
she was making homemade, delicious food,
yeah.
yet it was very unhealthy. A lot of fried, sugary, processed, carbohydrate foods. We drank unfiltered water, city water. We had
Mm,
mold in our apartment because the neighbor was flooding our apartment that was above us all the time, which I had no idea. Nobody knew. So I was always sick. I was constantly on antibiotics. I had really odd joint pains in my hands. I had a hard
oh,
time
wow.
pen in school, and I just was getting dizzy and having headaches and the stress and combining all of that together
Mm,
since very young age. Nobody knew at the time that this is actually affecting your health. I ended up going to university in Slovakia, pharmaceutical university, and that was another pivotal moment when during the last year of studying, I realized I don't want to be giving out medication. I am not helping these people. They keep coming back
mm,
more and more medication, and I don't see any difference. And there was just an inner voice inside of me again telling me that this is not how I'm supposed to spend my life.
mm,
But I just had this deep sense of intuition guiding me that I have to take this giant leap. I have to leave. So I just trusted the voice and I left my country. I left everything behind right after I finished university. I was 26. I had very limited English.
mm,
I had barely enough money. I sold my car. I did this, behind my parents' back, and I just left. I knew one thing: I have to break the cycle. I have to
mm,
heal myself. I am not gonna be suffering as my parents and everybody around me suffered. So I discovered functional medicine and I started to really dive deeper into understanding like all the trauma that I went through, which I kind of dissociated from. I didn't really think about myself like I had trauma, but
right.
I first had to learn like, oh my gosh, everything that I went through was really traumatic and how it affects your health and all the organs and everything. So that was kind of the first step of healing since 2008, long before
Mm,
wellness coaching was even, and sustainable living and organic living was even mainstream. I've been helping people embrace sustainable living to heal
yeah.
and thrive. That's when I really started.
Yeah, I think that's what's resonated with me. I mean, obviously your journey's been really personal. I mean, you're just sharing a little bit of insight into, okay, I was seeing just my own health journey and you had so many setbacks, but really your story is a lot like people who are probably reading your book and watching this masterclass. We're over medicated, and that just really comes from like we're trying to do what people tell us what we should be doing, but you kind of had this intuition of like, I don't think it has to be this way or should be this way, and so that's what strikes me is just how personal this journey is. But it wasn't just like I want to figure this out for myself. As you did that for yourself, you were informed by obviously the people around you that you care about, and seeing how certain decisions either positively or negatively affected them, and taking all the things that you've learned about in university and being a pharmacist and being like, I think there's another way. That's what I really respect about you, is just your relentless pursuit. And it's not just for your own gain, but like everything you learn, you're like, oh my gosh, I want the people I care about to know about this. And if you just make these, simple optimizations, it can radically change your life. And I know you've been doing that for a long time. But when it comes to the book, obviously your own health journey has been, a long and winding one. I love how you say it always continues, it never stops. And so that's a good reminder for all of us. When did it become real for you? Like, okay, I need to start putting all of this stuff that I've been helping clients with and individuals with and family and friends. I really need to put this into a book. It wasn't that long ago that this kind of came to the front of your mind, right?
Really, many times people have asked me to write a book, and I'm supposed to write a book. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. English is my second language. I can't write. So, but it was during a workshop that I was doing in the fall of 2023. People asked me to write a book about live well teaching, live well
Mm,
methodology. And there was this strong yes that I felt. And I
mm,
just trusted the guidance. And at that same time, I heard the inner voice to visit my best friend in Slovakia for the last time. And I knew
mm.
he was guiding me. It was during the visit that I started to work on my book. My book, Live Well, is about embracing the simplicity of health. It's about understanding what truly makes you well and just simple, practical strategies that fit into your life. So,
Mm.
um,
That's
with
good.
all the information, like I said out there, I want this book to be the source of truth for everyone. And it really just came organically.
I love the theme that kind of carries, I think, in knowing you and seeing this book come to life. It's this theme of both intuition and education, and I feel like you're really gifted at both. But I think also your ability to help transfer that sense of intuition. I know you're always telling me, and I've heard you tell other clients and friends, just listening to your body, right? But then it's informed by a lot of really simple education. Obviously, you have years and years of experience, but that's what I'm excited about with this book. You're able to bring both those things together, really help all of us be empowered to. And I know we've been on calls and conversations where you tear up and you're just saying, I don't want people to suffer anymore. And knowing that the education, the information that you're sharing has a power to really help people not suffer anymore is reason enough, I think, to share this book, to read this book, and to own the contents of it just ourselves, right? And we ultimately have to do that. So, living well, obviously, achieving vibrant health with ease sounds great. And I'm like, yes, sign me up, give me more of that, tell me what to do. It sounds great, but I guess I'm curious, what is the actual process? Can you share a little bit of what's your format of just like, okay, we're have so much information out there. We're trying to follow this and that, and family that say we should do this, and then traditional medicine and functional medicine and smoothies and diets and all this stuff out there. And then cutting through the noise is kind of a simplistic approach that you're sharing with us. Can you share a little bit about what those practical steps are to live well?
Yes, it's really a simple method, four-step live well methodology that I have developed over the years, and it's
Mm,
rooted in science and
love
takes really holistic approach to empower you to break
that.
free from all the unhealthy cycles, all the overwhelm, and just create that vibrant health that lasts. And I think of it as growing your health from the roots up, just like a strong, a thriving oak tree. Every tree starts with a seed and it needs healthy soil, it needs sunlight, it needs water in order to grow. And it depends on the soil and the water and the sunlight, how strong the tree is going to be and how long it's going to live. So it's not one thing or the other. It's all these elements that are working together in harmony, and our health works the same exact way. So I
Mm,
have these four parts of Live Well method that represent a vital element of health. They're completely interconnected. So we have the environment, which is, think of it as the soil. It's
yeah.
where everything begins. It's the soil that nourishes the roots. It's the foundation, and this includes the inner environment and the outer environment. Inner environment is all the stressors, all the traumas,
Mm,
all the worries and thoughts, they're happening in our mind. And the outer environment is everything we're breathing, drinking, putting in our body, eating. It's all the toxins that we're surrounded with
mm,
on everyday basis. So that's environment. That's
yeah.
soil. And then the second pillar is food. It's like the roots. Food is your fuel. It's about understanding what you eat, when you eat, how you eat, and also how much you eat to nourish the body for the vibrant health that we all deserve. And number three is movement. It's like the trunk of the tree. Movement is, it gives you stability, gives you that strength. So if you think about the strong oak tree and the trunk of it, you want it to be strong, but at the same time, it needs to have some gift, flexibility and
Yeah.
stability. It needs all of that, right? So that's how we think about, I don't like to call it exercise. I call it movement because we're
Mm.
meant to move. We're not supposed to sit. And number four is sleep. And sleep is like the leaves. Sleep is like the sunlight for the tree. It allows it to grow, repair, and renew. And when the leaves fall, it's like getting rid of all the things that we don't need anymore, which sleep, that's what sleep gives you. It regenerates your cells, it
Mm.
heals you, and also gets out all the things that we don't need anymore. So that's the four-step live well methodology, and it's a very simple to follow. It guides you and makes you evaluate each of these areas:
Mhm.
environment, food, movement, and sleep. And you really choose one simple actionable step from each to start. And it really empowers you to be in charge of your health because that is the end goal.
Yeah, I love the simplicity of that. I also like the metaphor of the tree, right? The soil and the trunk and the leaf. I love all of that because I kind of start to visualize that, and it's like, okay, it makes sense. And it's not just to live well for the short term. It's like I think what you're empowering me and your friends and clients and everyone who's watching this and reading your book to do is to really live well and live well longer, right? I think as we do that. So without me talking too much, I guess I'm curious and want to use this opportunity in this master class to go deep on each of these four, as you call them, pillars. These four parts of your framework, which I think simplifies things. Again, eliminates the chatter and the overwhelm of information that's out there, and really just kind of organizes them into these four groupings. So, would you help all of us understand? Let's talk about. Let's start with the environment because okay, it's all around us. I love how you're saying it's both internal and kind of external. There's a lot going on in our worlds, all of us individually, collectively. So why is environment the place that you start with people? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Growing up in such turmoil, all that
Mm.
stress and food that's heavy in fried foods and sugar and all of that combined, that was my soil, right?
Mm.
That is the foundation. And it doesn't even matter whether your, childhood was traumatic or not. Environment is the first thing that we have to address because it is what is going to determine the health of your immune system. And the health of your immune system determines the quality of your health and how long you're going to live. So
Mm.
the point really is that identifying and removing toxins is really key to achieving vibrant health.
Yeah, that I mean that's huge. That's the awareness of that, right? And I think I immediately start to evaluate, as you say, environment. I'm like thinking internally and externally. Can you walk us through? Do you have some steps as all of us watching, reading your book? Okay, we start to, evaluate our environment. And I think it's an awareness of like, huh, what was my soil growing up and what is the current soil of my environment, both internally and externally. What is a way that we can be empowered to really evaluate that and start to make changes?
Yeah, so I teach the framework of identify, remove, and nourish.
Okay.
And just remember that. Identify, remove, and nourish.
Got it.
Because the first step is really to identify and remove the sources of toxins that are
Mhm.
causing all the unwellness. So before anything else, we have to stop and reduce the toxic exposure and look at everything that we're using every single day. And it's from the skin products, cleaning products, air pollution, water, food, uh, and chronic stress.
Mm.
Um, as many of us know, acute inflammation is really important and we need it to help us heal. That's the immune
Mm.
response. But if the inflammation is ongoing from the environmental stressors, that's when the inflammation leads to damaged cells and DNA and diseases. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So, number one, thing is my book goes into all the details on how to identify, how
Mm,
to remove, and how to detox and nourish your body. And with this masterclass and pre-order of my book, you also got your quick guide that was free, quick guide where you can start right now, and it lays out the very first tips that you can start doing, identifying and removing the toxins from the inner environment and the outer environment. But I can give you a few tips right now. It's,
great.
for example, in the guide, I am talking about fragrances.
Mm,
They're made of synthetic chemicals, and these products can be hidden from your cleaning products to your skin products and pretty much anywhere. Now they're found in food as well. So, and they disrupt our hormones, and our hormones are little messengers. They tell cells what to do, how to do, when to do. We
mm,
rely on a healthy hormone system. So when you're looking for a cause of your issues, we really have to dig deep, and we start with identifying the toxins first. So
mm,
fragrances, that's where the guys start with non-toxic cookware. Um, Dryer sheets are things that, a lot of people don't think about. I
mm,
have VO compounds that pollute the environment and obviously your health. Coffee and coffee makers that people are not thinking
mm.
about, especially those. I don't drink coffee, so I forget what it's called. Those little things that you put in. What is it called, Ben? That you put
Like the
in
pods or
the
whatever.
pods.
Yeah.
Yes. So aluminum, plastics. People talk about BPA, but there's so many kinds of BPAs. Just because we removed one, it doesn't mean, there's
Hmm.
more. So, antibacterial soaps and extra things like water filter, L filter. So, I don't want people to get overwhelmed. The goal is choose one thing from the guide, start there, and just remove that from your environment. Just recognize that one toxin and remove that, and just build up
Okay.
on it slowly. It's always about choosing one thing and slowly changing. You don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah.
That's not the goal.
Yeah, that's not the goal, but and I do kind of blame you, and I blame you in a good way because knowing you, I am more aware. I mean, even I love to organize, and a lot of people they do their spring cleanings or there's a new year to do that, and I think it's a great opportunity to. It's not just about organizing clothes or throwing that out. It's like, wow, there's a lot more things that are having an effect on our health that we might not recognize now. Obviously, those that are feeling the effects of unwellness, but even those that might not feel it now, it's a compounding thing. But I do have you to thank. I joked that I'm blaming you, but I'm evaluating right the cookware that we used, and I tossed out some of these toxic things of like non-stick things. I was like, these are, to your point, small iterative changes that I can just make. And you've empowered me to do that slowly but surely. Okay, I'll start here and introducing more glass and less plastics. But I'm thankful that it's just, again, calling that out just to say, don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to, take care of everything in your house, but one room by the next room, one item by the next. And so you're already helping make that change in me, which is awesome. So thank you for that. And I hope others can feel empowered to do that. But thank you. Yes, in the quick start guide, I need that. Just okay. Give me the first couple quick steps, so I know everybody will appreciate that. One of those things too that you kind of impacted me on is food. Now I remember you sent me a picture. I was talking about something I was eating, and you sent a picture of something you were eating, and I was like, "Wow, that looks beautiful." Basically, people talk about eating the rainbow, but it really was just a beautiful bowl of food that you ate. And I know this is part of your rhythm, but there was something about it that didn't feel too overwhelming or complicated. But as we evaluate environment, I know a big next part of this methodology for you is food. Can you help us educate us on what's your approach with that? Because again, I see this beautiful bowl, and I also know you said, can you identify these things? And it was kind of a fun challenge. I'm a bit of a competitor, right? So but I loved seeing that and knowing that you approach your meals and encourage people to input specific items into their diet. Can you share a little bit more about the importance of food and how you approach that?
Yeah, that's I'm glad that you're taking up on the challenges, Benya. It's been a lot of fun talking to you about food.
Yes.
My daughter, when she was 6 years old, she began experiencing really painful
Mm,
dryness and inflammation on one of her hands. And it was really odd because it was on one of her hands,
mm,
specifically two fingers, and we could not figure out what was going on. And it was going on for 2 years. They started to
mm,
bleed. She started to have very itchy skin and spread all over her body from her face down to her feet. And there
mm,
was nothing I could figure out what
mm.
it. 2 years we were going from doctors to doctors. Everybody was promising me all these miraculous, healings, even chiropractors, and which they're great at what they're doing when it's necessary. But I just put a
Right,
lot of trust and a lot of hope and a lot of promises that was hoping that worked, which I'm sharing this story because this is where many of us are. We know
right.
something is wrong and we're hoping somebody's going to give us the answer. And
Mm,
I didn't sleep nights. I was just studying, doing research. I just knew I had to take it into my hands because I was not going to give her any hormonal creams. I was not going
mm,
to give her any medication because I already knew through my education that the reason is inside her body. I don't need
mm,
to mask these symptoms that she's struggling with. It's inside, and nobody has been able to tell me what the heck that is. It
mm,
was extremely painful. I can't count the nights I was just sitting here crying and exhausted. And then after 2 years, I finally decided to fly her to Massachusetts. We're in California, and to a special functional medicine clinic. And everything changed. We
mm.
did very deep dive testing, genetic testing, stool testing, and many other tests that now I do myself for my
Yeah.
clients because that's how I changed her life and my life, and that was another pivotal moment in my life. And we discovered she has certain genetic mutations where her genes don't work to remove certain toxins. And even though I thought we were eating healthy, but for her, food
Mm,
has to be very specific, clean, no antibiotics, no hormones, no pesticides. And just this journey taught me that while genes may predispose us to certain challenges, they do not define our health destiny because
mm,
it was literally over a couple weeks after we cleaned up the diet and made sure that her food is completely sustainable, basically.
yeah.
Um, her skin started to heal, and she's now 17-year-old teenager, just thriving and healthier than anyone else she's surrounded with. So food is really a message to your body, fueling either health and or disease.
Yeah.
Uh,
The first time you shared that with me, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I think maybe we inherently know that what we put in, right, is having an impact. But like I've started to reevaluate again, thanks to you. When you said that the first time, food is a message to your body, fueling either health or disease. I really start to evaluate like, wow, okay, what is this promoting? And I mean, that's a powerful thing to see, like after all these tests. And this is another reason why just a blanket diet doesn't necessarily work for everyone, right? Because we're all individual, and just your story kind of identifying that for your daughter, she needed specific things. It might even differ from you as her mom, right? And it's going to be different from me, but just having an awareness of that. And yes, I'm looking at food in a different way now because I want to promote health, not disease.
Exactly. Yeah. And really it's as simple as eat fresh, sustainable food you can find in nature and align also your meals with your body's clock. Because when you put these two things together, eating fresh, sustainable foods from nature and eating it
Mm,
at with the alignment of circadian rhythm, which is your body's clock, then
mm,
it's like this miracle pill. Like everything changes. Your digestion is better, your energy gets better. And this is what the book really guides you through. So you don't have to really think about it. You don't, it explains to you why, but it guides you through these very simple changes. So it feels very easy to do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
um,
I want that, right? When you list that more energy, all these positives that
yeah.
I immediately like. And I think everybody watching this, reading your book would say, like, yeah, I want that. So can you walk us through and go, hearkening back to that beautiful bowl of food that you shared? You have a very like simple formula that you adhere to and you would encourage again as we think about eating fresh, sustainable foods. You kind of have a framework that all of us can follow to make sure that we're eating in that way. Would you be able to share that with us?
Yeah, my framework is very simple because I believe in real food, as you heard, and no diets. There are specific times when people do need specific diets, but most of us just need to look at the plate, and this is how I build my plate.
Mm.
Plant, protein, healthy fats, spices, and ferments.
Mm.
Let me walk you through it. Plants
Yes,
can be
please.
anything from beans, nuts, seeds, vegetables, low sugar fruit, anything that grows in nature. Make sure it's organic, sustainable, avoid all the glyphosate and pesticides. So,
Mm.
plants, they're feeding your microbiome. You absolutely need to eat them if you want to have vibrant health. Number two is protein, sustainable protein. That can be anything from wild salmon to sardines. And don't cringe.
Yeah.
These are amazing. Uh,
You lost me there, but it's okay. I'm following the healthy fats I can do.
chicken, wild meat. I prefer wild meat because then you are just safe for eating that you know that the meat ate what it was supposed to eat instead of grain and other
Sure.
things they're not supposed to
Sure.
eat. So protein. Then number three is the healthy fats, avocado, oil or extra virgin olive oil, fish,
Hmm.
nuts and seeds have oils, obviously, as well. The cheese, like sheep, goat, and goat cheese. And the last part is spices and ferments.
Mm.
Ferments is fermented food. And this is where we go into the unique biology. Fermented foods are not good for people like my daughter Summer, who was eating them a lot. And that's one of the reasons why her body was saying, please stop, because
Mm.
she has, and this gets very specific, and it goes, my book goes into it, and this is how I coach people. She has specific gene that doesn't bring down histamine, which fermented foods are amazing for people who
Mm.
can break down histamine, but if you cannot, your body is constantly inflamed. And
Yeah.
but otherwise, if you're good, plants, protein, healthy fats, spices, and ferment. And that's how I build my plate. And if you follow my book, and if you follow again the health guide, the quick start guide that you have, it's gonna become subconscious. Like Ben is saying, it's just gonna become automatic because you don't have to think about diets. You just think about these specific micronutrients that you're supposed to be eating every day.
Yeah, I mean, it really puts the power into our hands, right? I don't have to overthink that. I like, when you're talking about plants, protein, fat, I just call it fats, but healthy fats, I know, avocado, extra virgin olive oil, those are things that have been going on. Spices and ferments is something I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more, but I love that, that's a pretty basic thing any of us can add to our diet. And then again, this goes into this theme of intuition and education, just listening to our body, we feed it what it needs. And I think you've kind of covered those items. And then from there, you kind of listen to your body. It's so cool to see how that, just a subtle shift in diet was so helpful for your daughter. And I think can be helpful to a lot of us in a probably shorter amount of time than we could ever think possible because our bodies are so amazing, right?
Yeah.
Um, this is really cool. Okay, so we I know we're going through a couple of these things. We're coming to the pillar that's probably one of my favorites. I think when we first met, you and I, we were talking about this topic, and I said, I don't know if you know this, Adriana, but sleep is my superpower. But I know so many people struggle with this, but I do recognize, I don't think it's because I'm anything special. Just I know I need my sleep. Again, you are the expert, and I'm asking you, when it comes to circadian rhythm and just understanding more of that. I think even identifying when you eat so that it encourages the sleep. I think that's what you're alluding to. But I get excited about this because I do know how important sleep is. I can do anything as long as I get my sleep. And I just kind of stumbled into that. But it's been cool to hear like there's science behind that, right? Can you share for those of us listening? And I think most of us know we're a sleep deprived culture for a lot of people. But what are some things we can learn and know about sleep and its power in making us live well?
My dad, he was a brilliant scientist. He
Mm,
loved nature, sustainability, and he loved his work that was connected to sustainability more than anything. That was his happy place. That was his world.
yeah.
And would always say sleep is waste of time, and he wished he didn't have to sleep and he could just work and create. And he would get up in the middle of the night
Mm,
and just create and didn't have a good sleep. And this was going on for years and years. And I would notice I didn't know anything about sleep, obviously. Back then, I just heard him say this, and it kind of became my mantra as well, because
mm,
a lot of great ideas are coming to me at night. But I saw him, nodding off in the chair most of the time during the day and just getting those little 10 minutes, sleeps. And then his health started to really decline. He started to develop heart issues, high blood pressure, and it really followed with devastating cancer diagnosis. And
mm,
the poor sleep really led to the stress, the also unhealthy eating. He was addicted to sugar, which is kind of a compensation of not having enough sleep. We then tend to eat things that are sugary to get that quick energy, and that doesn't really solve the problem, obviously, from of sleep. And he was
mm,
snoring a lot, had sleep apnea. So there was a lot of things that not allowed him to have the important sleep. And research shows now that night with only 4 hours of sleep results in 70% reduction in activity of natural killer cells,
mm,
which are extremely important for our immune system to recognize, you
mm.
know, even cancer cells, recognize viruses, bacteria, anything, and just take care of it. So I do believe that if my dad had better sleep, that maybe he would never be diagnosed with cancer and never had all these
Wow.
heart diseases, or if he did, he would be able to fight it off much easier now that I know and understand sleep. Because as many people think it's just I go to bed, I'm knocked out, I get up in the morning.
Right.
No, sleep is an active process. That's when
Mm,
your body is actually working really hard to clean up, to repair, to strengthen itself. Without sleep, we can't fight all these diseases, and we cannot
mm,
recover from our daily stressors, from even if you don't have a lot of stress. Poor sleep contributes to insulin resistance, cardiovascular diseases, neurodegenerative disease. It is the foundation of
mm.
health. It's we absolutely have to prioritize sleep. It's a active process that heals, detoxifies, and rejuvenates, laying the foundation for strong immunity, mental clarity, and resilience.
That's powerful. And I think that was an unlock for me, how sleep is an active process. I think I would have said that. It's like, oh, sleep is when we shut down, just kind of, and then we restart. But knowing that it's an active process that really is helping to heal. But you also have something that kind of flips the script for me, because when I think sleep, I'm thinking like, okay, there's probably a routine that I need to have before I go to bed. But you kind of flip the script on that, and you have something in the morning to help with our sleep routine. Can you go through that a little bit?
Yeah, so in the book, you will find the morning routine you're talking about. It's
Mm,
called Wise. And in your guide that you have right now, if you pre-order the book, you have the evening routine. So you can
mm,
start doing that right now. But the Wise morning routine is about morning. The first thing when you get up in the morning, W stands for water. You're dehydrated all night. Your body's active. Whole entire body is regenerating, renewing, and getting rid of toxins. So we have to drink water in the morning, at least 12, I tell people 16 ounces of filtered water to flush
okay.
out all the toxins. So W is for water. Then I is for intention.
Mm,
Set your GPS. Set your intention for the day. Every morning, I think about one thing, how I want my day to turn out. That makes a huge difference in how your day is going to unfold. If you're having a hard time, if you're having a hard day, or whatever is going on in your life, this is just one simple way to drink your water in the morning and decide if your day is going to go with the flow, if your intention is to be grateful, if your intention is to
Mm.
do self-care, whatever that is serving you that day.
Yeah.
Number three, which is S, S stands for sunlight. Sunlight is what turns on the cortisol. I mean, the cortisol wakes you up, but it really tells your body through the eyes. We need the sunlight. I mean, don't look directly into the sun,
Right.
obviously, but get the
Yeah.
sunlight. Get your
Yeah.
glasses off, go outside, even if it's cold, get a coat on. Even if it's cloudy, just go outside and let that biological clock set in your body.
Mm.
Cortisol is going to go up, melatonin is going to go away and get metabolized so you can have more energy, you can have better digestion, and your day is going to be so much better. And E is for exercise. And exercise can be as simple as just do a little bit of stretching. You can do a little bit of jumping on a trampoline or just go for a 5 minute walk. Get that blood flow going. You're stiff pretty much all night for the 8 hours. I
Yeah.
hope you're supposed to sleep for at least 7 to 9 hours. And I go deeper into all these tools in the book. But I really encourage you to start doing it today and get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And it needs to be consistent. That's one of the things
Mm.
that I really want to make clear. This is not once in a week thing. Consistency, doing this every single day is what is going to transform your
Mm.
energy. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'd love, like, obviously you have the wise morning routine and the dream evening routine. So you have both of those at play, but that really struck me. And yes, the consistency, because I think some of us can, our culture is just like said, like, oh, you can, sleep when you're past, or, it's just like, oh, I'll catch up on sleep. But I think the consistency is something that I've learned from you. Again, as we put these things together, just like intentionality about the foods that I consume, and then really protecting our sleep, really having a plan for this is so vitally important for our overall health, to fight the disease, to have the energy that we need. And so that's a good message that a lot of us need to hear, creating that consistent sleep of 7 to 9 hours. And I'm protective of that. So even as I say, sleep is my superpower. For some of us, it might be a little bit easier. For some of us, we might have to fight a little bit harder to protect it. But I think what you're saying is, like, no matter if it's easier or harder, it's worth the effort to protect that time, right?
Worth the fight, Ben.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worth the fight. I want to get that message out. Your entire day, your entire life is going to change. One night of bad sleep, we all know how that feels. The
Yeah.
foods that we're attracted to eating, the how we feel in our body, in our
Mm.
brain. And if you keep doing this every day, you almost kind of get used to it, and now you realize, like, oh, this is just how I'm supposed to feel, this is how I am. And
Yeah.
it's just, oh, it's worth the fight. If nothing
Yeah.
else, sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, here. I like that a lot. Okay, so we've gone through a couple of these, and the fourth piece of this whole pillar, and you kind of alluded to a little bit of it in the wise routine in the morning. You referenced exercise, but I like that you didn't give me too many specifics. I don't have to go to a gym. It's just this idea of movement.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through the importance of movement? I've heard things like movement is medicine. I know we've talked about, you've had different things that you've walked through, and people have been amazed. Other doctors and chiropractors, they've been amazed at your ability to move, even when a lot of people, who would suffer setbacks with accidents or what have you. But you've conditioned your body to be able to move, which is part of the healing process. Can you tell us why it's important that you include movement in the path to living well?
Yeah, so this is our last pillar that closes the circle. And remember that it's all interconnected, and that's why
Yeah.
it's a circle. You'll see it in a book. And let me tell you a story because it really happened recently in October of 2024, when a lot has changed for me. My whole life, I have been physically active. I did a lot of sports, and I spent years building my body, hitting the gym, lifting weights, walking,
Yeah.
whatever you call it. I did it because movement was such a huge part of my life. Mentally, I wasn't really even thinking about it physically. It was like my therapy. When I was going through the hardest times when I was a child, I would just put my Walkman in. Back then, that was Walkman in
Yeah, I'm
1980.
with you. I'm with you.
And many people probably listening right now, what the heck is she talking about? So, and I would just go for walks, and that was the therapy. That's what cleared my mind, allowed me to think. It was the movement. Movement brings you joy. It really clears your mind. I mean, there's so many ideas from my life, personal, from my business that come to me during exercise when I'm lifting weights or riding my bike because we're meant to move.
Yeah.
So in October of 2024, I was hit with something very unexpected. I
Mm,
was living with two bulging discs for over 20 years, and I would get occasional pain, and my nerve would get pinched, and I would
mm.
be left with not being able to exercise and lift weights for weeks, which was devastating for me.
Yeah.
But I just kind of got used to the life and I was like, I'm never gonna have a surgery. But something happened in October and my nerve got completely stuck through my whole left leg and I had to go under and get a surgery. So that saved me. That was great.
Yeah.
But because that nerve damage, I was with that nerve damage for 11 days before I could get surgery.
Mm,
The nerve was pretty much, I'm not gonna say done, gone, but it's just really damaged. I'm still dealing with the um, aftermath, I guess. But
yeah. Yeah.
I was very frustrated because I had to learn how to walk again. I couldn't step up on a curb or anything.
Mm,
It was really, really hard. I couldn't carry anything, and it was very frustrating because I did not have now the tool that helped me with my mind. I was losing a lot of muscle, but there was one thing that my PT and my surgeon told me that I will never forget. If you hadn't been in the shape that you were in, if you were not moving every day and doing what you were doing, you would be in pain right now and in a wheelchair.
mm.
Light bulb. And that's what
Amazing.
really made me realize that I have to tell this story to people because, yes, I'm free of pain now. I'm still dealing with part of my leg is still not getting activated, and I'm, doing my PT still, and it's January now when we're recording this.
Yeah.
But I had no pain after the surgery and I was able to start walking right after. So it was
Incredible.
really the movement. It's not about fitness. It's shifting that mindset that it's about being able to function in a world. It's about being able to have more joy, clarity, calm, whatever that
Mm,
is. Just have more of a vibrant life because movement is the best free medicine for your
yeah.
body and your mind. It builds resilience, it protects your body, and sets you up for moments like I
Yeah.
went through. So we're meant to move.
Yeah, I love that meant to move. That's kind of something that goes on. I've seen that play out. I mean, I've walked alongside you a little bit, getting updates and hearing about the progression, but also hearing how the doctors were like amazed at your progress, amazed at the limited pain, right? When so many would probably be sidelined for 6 months, 8 months, like you mentioned, probably being in a wheelchair. It's all the movement that you've done all along that really sets you up to bounce back way better than the majority of people. And so that's an inspiration for me. I've seen this play out even with my dad, who's older in his 70s, and he's gone through procedures, but it's because he's moved for a lot of his life and prioritized movement. Again, I think that's what's freeing too for many of us who kind of get like, oh, I don't want to exercise. It's not necessarily about lifting weights and certain things. It's just the idea of movement and how it sets your body up for success, to heal faster, and to promote a lot of the things you're talking about. You've been so good about sharing us some frameworks. Obviously, when we're designing the food that we're going to eat and put in our body that promotes health, not disease, and the routines that we can add to our sleep, both in the morning and the evening. So I'm guessing you have a framework that helps us as we think about movement and having a simple kind of process to add more movement into our life. Would you be able to share some of that?
Yes, and I love this framework because it's so simple. And again, you have it
Yeah.
in your guide, quick start guide. So please
Awesome.
get it, follow it. And before I go into it, it's like right now. Right now, I'm standing as I'm doing
Yeah.
this recording for you guys. And the reason is my brain is actually working better. I'm not doing it to exercise. I'm doing it because I can be sharper, have better focus. And I have to hold my body up against the gravity, right? When we sit, everything just kind of relaxes. So I'm constantly, and I'm moving. So that's just one of the very quick tips to stand more. If you can move more, at least stand more than you sit. But the framework that is in the quick start guide is three W's.
Okay.
The first W is for walk. The
Okay.
second W is for weights, and the third W is for winded. So the walk as much as you possibly can. Again, we're meant to move. I talk about zone two exercise, which is really just walking to the point where you can still talk, but you
Mm.
don't really want to. You don't really enjoy
Yeah.
it. That's where there are a lot of studies about heart health and fat oxidation during this kind of walk, and you're supposed to do at least 45 minutes at
Mm.
a time of this zone two exercise or zone two walk-in. So zone one is just like when you're cleaning around the house and just vacuuming or whatever. Zone two is the second level. So
Mm.
I suggest to go on a walk outside, or treadmill is actually the best. Or you can also do it on a bike. The
Okay.
weights is lifting for strength, for muscle building, increasing the amount of and health of mitochondria and microbiome. When you have more muscle, you can also you can avoid type 2 diabetes, and there's a lot that goes into lifting weights. And if you cannot lift heavy weights, you can start with resistance training. So just use
Mm.
weights. And the winded is for high intensity exercise. And I suggest this is the zone 4 to 5 where you get really winded. That's why it's
Yeah.
winded. And you just do this once a week, and it doesn't have to be long. I go into what kind of winded exercises you can do inside the book, also in
Mm.
the quick start guide. So you choose which one is safe and good for you right now. And then there are other things you can do, like I talked about in the morning. It's just, mobility, flexibility, functional movements, and do what you love. At the end of the day, enjoy it. Don't do it for exercise. Just really enjoy it because we're meant to move, and we are meant to move more than we're supposed to sit.
And as you share that, I'm immediately feeling a little guilty. So what I'm going to do is stand right now. Those watching this masterclass,
Amen.
maybe you're with me watching this masterclass or sitting reading the book, and you hear Adriana. This is what she's so gifted at, is being able to challenge us without feeling too guilty about it. But it's like, you know what? She's standing, I should probably stand. I want to activate my brain too. And it's a good reminder, right? For many of us who, whether you're working from home, or sitting in the places. So it's a good challenge. So thank you, even in this moment, Adriana, for helping me and those that are watching to make sure we have a good balance. And you really live what you preach. I know there's several times you'll reach out and say, hey, I'm on a walk, and I can hear you walking outside. This is something that you live and breathe, and I know it's something you enjoy. It's part of your rhythm. And I know when you were sidelined, that was something that was kind of soul crushing. It was like, I need this, not just for my body, but it was such a great opportunity. And so it's been encouragement to me to prioritize those times of movement with the three W's, which is really good. And so walking, winded, and weights are something I think that's pretty easy. Those three W's for us to have as a part of what we do. So thank you for sharing that. So this has been really good, a deep dive. Thank you for taking the time. Again, you share so much of this and more in the book, but I think I love hearing, and hopefully those that are watching this masterclass are able to kind of see your intentionality with each of these, and kind of how it comes to life, even as you speak plainly, as you have done for years and years with a lot of high level clients. There's some even bonuses, I know, for those that have ordered multiple books, that they get an opportunity to interact with you, which is great. I guess I'm just curious, as the readers reflect on what you've covered, what would you say are some of these big benefits that you've experienced, or that most importantly they will experience if they really commit to executing in all four of these areas that we've talked about, right? With food and environment and sleep and movement, three or four kind of big buckets. But what are some of the benefits you think they'll experience as all of us kind of commit to these areas?
Yeah, and I want to also take on what you said, Ben, that yes, all of this is my automatic. This is what I do now. That's why I teach what I do. I am not gonna ever teach somebody something I do not do. Uh,
Yeah.
but it took years and
Mm.
years. It wasn't, I wrote this book because what I am teaching is working for people.
Yeah.
And they asked me to do this. So that's why I did it. And it's all here. So you don't have to go through the hard times and try to figure anything out. You just follow this. And that's why it becomes easier. It wasn't easy for me. It wasn't automatic. I had to do all that work for, decades. So you don't have to do that. And if you just follow these steps, you will experience that vibrant health. You will have the unstoppable energy. You will have the amazing restful sleep where you wake up in the morning, be like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. I'm ready to drink my water, set intention, and go on with my day. And whatever you are struggling with right now with your health, it
Mm.
doesn't matter what it is where you're starting from, your health in your life will transform. You're gonna feel clarity, you will be empowered, and you're just gonna be in charge of your health, which is ultimately the goal that I keep saying.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's been so cool to see and hear testimonies of those that have read the book, that have been clients of yours, and just for me as your friend and supporter, just it's like, wow, this really works, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as many of us make it, or seem like this big, scary, huge, mountain to climb. There's some really simple shifts that I can make, that everyone who's watching this can make, and truly, I mean, those are some pretty great benefits, right? When we think about unstoppable energy and restful sleep, and a more powerful immune system. And I think what you have exhibited and all of your clients is there's more stability, right? For so many of us, we're riding this roller coaster of like feeling good and then taken out by sickness because we're just overextended in so many areas. And so to see that stability, I think, is a really powerful testimony, both in your life, even when you were kind of sidelined by this back issue that you just couldn't avoid. But you had set yourself up for success. And I know so many of your clients are experiencing a really powerful level of freedom with their health. And so even for me in middle age, and for many people, it becomes more and more of like, wow, our health is really all we do have. And so getting intentional about that, and just so thankful for you and your example. And just again, there's never ever any shame, I think, because you are so just driven by helping people not suffer. And obviously, we've talked a little bit about the context of when you were younger and seeing people that you deeply care about, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I love how you take that on. The level of care that you show to anybody who comes across your path is really powerful. Adriana, thank you so much for the time that you've taken, obviously, to painstakingly write this book and pour your heart into that, and try to work really hard to simplify this, to give us actionable things. Thank you for this opportunity to go a little bit deeper and hear these words that are written on a page really come to life as you've shared that. So thank you for that. I guess I'd just ask you, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our audience with, those that are watching this, those that are taking notes, those that are starting to think of like, okay, how can I incorporate some of this into my life or into the lives of those I love? Is there anything you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, I just want to leave you with a story that's really personal. It's really close to my heart.
Hmm.
In December of 2023, as I mentioned, I visited my best friend Joseph in Slovakia, and it was the last time I would see him. He passed away from cancer on Valentine's Day of 2024. He was truly incredible person. He was my best friend, and he was not ready to make the changes in his body that his body desperately needed. He put trust into chances, into doctor's hands, into medication, giving away his power.
Hmm.
And by the time he realized it and he wanted to be in charge and he asked me for help, he was ready finally. It was too late. And I miss him more than I can ever express. It's very hard to carry this loss. And we all have somebody we have lost. We all have somebody who is suffering. And I just share this story not to bring you down, but to really actually lift you up and to remind you that you don't have to face this kind of loss. You don't have to face this kind of suffering, and you have the power to make a different choice every day. You are in charge of your health. And my mission with this book and everything I teach is to save others from suffering like this. You're capable of having an incredible health and you deserve to have an incredible health. You just need the right tools and understanding and a very clear guide, which you have in this book. And although it's not always easy, it is simple and it is really worth it.
Yeah.
And always remember that the power is in your hands. So let's just do it.
Awesome. Adriana, thank you so much. And for all of you watching, thank you so much for taking part in this masterclass. We can't wait to hear your stories of how you've achieved vibrant health with ease on your path to living well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.